Hello everyone and welcome to the Gentleman's Debate episode number 21. It is me, myself, Sam Carter and Simon Tolley and Miroslav Dmitrievsky.
Hello,
the
everyone.
Eastern Death.
The Eastern Death is back.
Oh.
Yes.
Nice to meet you. I am
Mickey.
back. Mickey is the best way anyone can kind of call me, because Miroslav is just way too complicated, to be honest.
Have I just last named us all,
We've
by
got-
the way?
Did you last name us?
I did last
You can't
name
even
us.
say my last name. Can you say my last name properly?
Yeah, Dmitrievsky.
Dmitrievsky. He's good. He's good. I like him. I like him already.
Miroslav Dmitrievsky.
So we did Cage Steel last night.
Well, we didn't. We
Did
watched.
it. We organised
watched.
it. Part of the 19 fight cards. We were basically.
I feel like if we actually did do it, we get the shit kicked out of us. But you know.
pretty instantly, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was brutal, but it was fucking awesome.
It was absolutely fantastic. What I will say is instantly, shout out again to our wonderful friend who's behind the scenes here of Mr. Joshua Simpson of at York Video Production.
You're so sweet.
We try to be. As we said, we need to look after our friends. And for anyone out there in the fine world that needs any photography or videography work, please hit up Mr. Joshua Simpson on his Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at York Video Pro.
I feel so bad because I'm searching Postman Pat gay sex.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have made a joke a fair few times about Josh potentially getting into the porn industry. This just confirms it. Final nail in the coffin. Josh, when is your first porn film in, and can we watch?
Oh, I want to star in it too.
You want to start?
You know,
I
You
wanna
are a
do-
talented man if you can do both.
If you could do
if
both.
any of you were interested,
Josh is casting.
hit me up.
Josh's casting couch. Who was it who bought a black leather sofa recently? Was it one of our friends who did that?
I have a black leather sofa bed.
Oh.
It's just...
Why did you think I bought it?
It's all...
you and your girlfriend
no
have done
pun
it on there, haven't you?
intended. Coming
No.
together.
No. Oh, you need to. We've got a brown sofa, which, you know, shows what we get up to. But we got like a brown sofa bed, and yeah, we've done it on there.
You've got to have the L shape though. The L shape's where it's
No,
at,
it's
because-
got the 3 stages of angles. So you got the L,
yeah.
then you've got like the tick,
The
and then
tick?
like the kind of tick shape.
With like a recline slightly.
So it reclines. It has 3 levels of reclining.
Uh-huh.
I wish I knew the website because I'd shout them out, but it was very cheap. It was like 99 quid. It's
For a
fantastic.
sofa?
Oh, nice.
For a proper sofa bed, it's decent.
That's not bad. That's not
But
bad.
yeah, we've done it on all different positions. So
Yeah.
you need to break that bad boy in, mate. You and your girlfriend.
I'll never look at Lily in the same way again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't.
I've
Sorry, Lily. I love you.
I haven't really disclosed myself, but everywhere in my room,
Everywhere.
everywhere.
I've been in there.
We used to shoot in there, you piece of shit. Oh.
I will let you guess.
Did you? Is that why the desk is broken?
The desk isn't broken.
A little
Why
bit. A little bit broken.
Is it?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
You couldn't prop anybody up on there anyway.
Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. You need to be a little person.
I like that.
Just be like, how tall are you? What's your weight? Okay.
Okay, we're good.
And I'll just round that
okay.
off every room in my flat.
Every room.
Every room.
Really? Even the hallway?
Mhm.
Damn.
By the river?
By the river. That's not in my flat.
No, but you're right next to it. Come on.
Have you got a balcony on your flat? Or?
Sadly not, no.
I would love a balcony.
If we did. If we
Your
did.
face.
There's a
Well, I told you the story about Australia.
Australia, Mickey.
Yeah, that was a good time.
You went to Australia. Tell us the story about Australia, you said.
I don't know if I want to. I don't know.
Oh,
if
you've got to tell us now. Now it's a
I
great
say
good
something
story.
to my friends within confidence.
We're
and
all
I
gentlemen
I
here.
don't want to come across as
Look, mate, it's not like we've got microphones and cameras recording your every single mannerism and word.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
So, Australia story.
Australia story.
So yeah, I just went to Melbourne. I remember I just sold my first business, and I was just like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go to Australia." So I went on a website, I booked the flights, and then I kind of phoned some of my family and was like, "Can I stay over?" They were like, "When?" In 3 days. And they're like, "Oh, okay." And then 3 days later, I was in Australia, and then they decided to go on a holiday within a holiday, so like holiday inception. So I went from Melbourne up to the Gold Coast. So I went there for a week. I fucking land the first day, and I'm like, right, I'm 19. I had a bit of money to spend. Got a 5-star hotel, no fucking holes barred. And a friend of mine was like, go to this bar called Melba's. It's like the best bar in the Gold Coast. You can't miss it. It's great. So I'm like, screw it. Walk all around the Gold Coast. keep asking people where's Melbourne. I don't know, mate. I don't know.
He's
Fucking-
actually all right. Could we stop there because you actually managed to do an accent right for once?
That wasn't no. I can do a bit of an Australian.
was not right.
It was,
No,
it's a bit
no.
better. I'm sorry,
No.
but at least he got
It
the
was
fucking...
it was better than his Scottish.
It's an
And
improvement.
what was the
yeah.
accent that you tried to do
Yorkshire.
I
last
can do a
night?
Scottish accent if I'm not trying to take the piss, mate. I heard that myself.
No, but it was the accent that you were trying to do last night. It was the accent that you were trying to do last night before we went into Cage Steel, and it just came out as Alan Partridge. But what was the accent that you were trying to do?
It was Australian, I think.
Was that Australian?
No, that wasn't Australian. No.
Yes, it was. 100%.
No, that was Irish.
That was.
Oh, it was
Try and do
Irish.
your
I'm
Irish.
trying to speak Irish, but like, you know, like... He's gonna cry.
Oh, it's the shittest thing in the world. Oh my god.
Fake laughter hiding real pain.
So you were wandering around the Gold Coast.
So I went to the Gold Coast, right? I went to this place. Anyway.
Oh god.
Oh.
You know, there's actually a podcast that's all about Alan Partridge.
Really?
Yeah. It's a fantastic one. It's really good. I can't remember the name of the fucking thing though. I feel really sad, but there's a full podcast all about it. It's fantastic. Well, I would recommend anyone try and find the Alan Partridge podcast, and you'll piss yourself for a good 2 hours.
So you were wandering around the Gold Coast.
Not Steve Coogan, though, is it?
No, it's just two guys who are fans of the show.
I don't know now. I've got all this. I've got
What's
all this
the
hatred.
story? What's the story?
So now
Anyway.
for the third time, you were wandering around the Gold Coast.
And then I find Melba's, and then I look over, and my hotel's 20 meters away from it. So, so I was like, "Well, that was an hour wasted of my life." I literally just landed at this point. Go inside, and there's there's the like a music disco, so you have to guess the songs, and if you guess them all right, then you basically win $100. Lost the first one. Was like halfway through the second one. These 6 gorgeous girls come in, promo girls.
Oh, I think you've told me the story.
And I was like, I'm gonna go in. I'm like, oh, I'm nearly winning this. Can you help me out? So they help me out. I win $100. And then basically, long story short, 2 of them decide to conjoin me on the way back to my hotel, which is 20 meters away, which I described very well. And halfway, which is 10 meters in, one of them just completely decides to void all her stuff inside her stomach. So I was like,
bowels. I was like, so she turned into a human bazooka. I thought that's what you were going to say then. Fucking
and then I
hell.
was like, oh well, I've lost it now. Girls
coming out
stick
of both
together.
ends.
She's gonna be like, oh, I'll take my friend home and stuff like that. And she's like, oh, are you okay? And she got up, oh yeah, I'm fine. The bus is over there. I'll see you later.
That savage girl.
I was like, damn.
See ya.
And then yeah, went up to the hotel room. I had the top floor, had a balcony, like proper nice fucking hotel room. And yeah, up until fucking dawn, it was just the sun was coming out. We were just
Humping.
yeah.
That's a nice way of doing it. Humping is a nice way
Yeah,
of
it was
saying
good.
having sex, I think. Humping.
Yeah, to be fair, I would recommend it. And then there's a story for the next night and the next night and the next.
We'll
there was-
save that for the next
there's-
Gentleman's Debate podcast.
There's these 2 Lebanese girl.
God.
Foreshadowing.
Foreshadows, yeah.
But anyway,
Did you ask
that's
for
for the
credentials?
future.
Yes, you are Lebanese.
He saw a
I
passport.
would take you now.
No, it's those 2 girls on my Facebook that are like quite short, but
no
really.
idea. I haven't checked your Facebook.
I thought you were
don't-
going to stalk it all
I
the
don't-
time.
I don't stalk your
Don't you
Facebook.
like pictures of mine from like 3 years ago?
Not anymore.
Nice, Mickey.
Not anymore. We're not allowed to. There's restraining
Restraining
order.
order,
Yeah.
yeah.
This is as close as we can get, Mickey, actually.
So anyway, that's my vulgar story. So I will get judgment for that. But
I don't know. That sounds like a pretty good story.
I was
Why you're embarrassed
19.
to tell that.
The thing about Dubai is, right, I'm going there, and I was in the station airport to Dubai, and I'm just chilling out in the smokers lounge, and then flight for Melbourne leaving. I'm like, oh, that's great. I'm gonna get my oh shit, where's my bag? Run up, and I had quite a lot of cash in my bag, like all of it. Never do that. Never do that. And the guy's like, I run up, and the guy at the, you know, when you take all your stuff, like at the border thing, he's like, is this yours? I'm like, yeah. Grab that and catch the flight. Flipping hell, it was.
You're lucky, sir. You're lucky.
It's Dubai. He makes like $100,000 a year or something just working there. So he's like, oh, look at some piddly change. There you go.
See you later,
What
poor
happened
There you
person.
go,
was
peasant.
that?
Policemen drive SLSs and Ferraris. That's the police cars in
Yeah,
Dubai. It's
don't ever
ridiculous.
don't ever try and do a Dubai accent again, though.
I do Dubai accent. Come on.
my fucking God.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna focus on accents now, just to make sure that
You need to go to a professional fucking voice actor who can teach accents.
You know the accent I'm doing right now? This is not my proper accent. I put this on for like nefarious amounts of bullying through school.
Aw.
And I realized that if I speak in this way, people kind of leave you alone. Because I used to speak like this, and people are like, what the fuck is...
What's wrong with you? Why you talk like this?
So I decided to go a bit differently. And, yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing.
Please just like use your normal voice for the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, don't change it
Like-
midway through.
I will do my normal voice
Exactly,
any
yes,
time on the
please.
podcast. So, Cage Steel.
Cage Steel. Yeah, sorry for
Well,
the segues,
actually, I was
ladies.
just going to go
what?
quickly
Here we go.
before we go into Cage Steel. I was discussing it with Josh outside whilst we were waiting for you to get here.
Yeah.
Saying that I'm just going to issue a little apology to Mr. Sam Worthington because I watched Hacksaw Ridge on Friday evening,
Yes.
and he was actually very good in it.
Was he?
And his accent did not slip once.
So he must have got better.
He must have got better.
Well done, Sam Worthington.
So there you go, Sam Worthington. You now have my approval.
He's just outside.
Yeah, because he gives a flying fuck about
Yeah,
us.
well, he should.
Do you know what I love?
Crying himself at night.
If this podcast
To
becomes
sleep at night.
anywhere so near successful, and we're accidentally, I don't know, let's say we're in London one day, and he's in London doing acting or something. You all right, Josh? Fucking hell, mate, you almost died then.
Tuberculosis is a
You
terrible
was just
disease.
coughing
Anyway.
your lungs out. but you imagine if we bump into him in London or
be
something
a-
like that.
So we do a podcast. Just don't watch it.
Don't watch episode 20, all right?
One.
Just don't watch episode 20.
Yeah. Just
21.
over
You were
that.
brilliant in Hacksaw
21's
Ridge.
fine.
You do realize if you tell him that's the one episode he will watch. You never do that to someone.
Yeah, don't
Just
watch.
be
Just
like-
be sort of like, oh, I wonder what's the
It's
problem.
like when
They're
going
like,
to someone, oh, there's something I want to tell you, but I don't want to tell you it. It drives people insane. It's like,
Yeah.
The first 20 episodes, we were kind of finding our footing. It's just not worth watching. Don't do it, Sam. Don't do it.
Don't do it, mate. Don't
Don't do it.
Yeah, it'd be funny if you became best mates with him in the future. Then he
well, it's
goes,
like Patrick Stewart and James Corden.
Wait a second. If he watches this episode, he'll know that we've slagged him off in the past.
well, now he will. Now you've said that.
Well,
So
no,
Sam
'cause he's
Worthington,
offering
mate,
a-
just watch episode 22
Yeah.
onwards.
Yes, mate. Please.
Because all we do is just talk about how
I don't know why
glorious
we're
you
saying
are
that
as
in
an
episode 21, but
He's a nice
what?
bloke.
We're going to offend people. That's what people
Sam,
do when they
just
speak
skip
for a
this
prolonged
episode.
period of time.
don't listen
People
to any
get
more.
offended.
That's Sam Worthington.
People
Shit,
do get
isn't it?
offended to everything.
It's like what Steve Hughes says. You know, the great comedian is like, what happens if people get offended? They get offended.
it's true.
So what?
Yeah, it's very true.
When did Sticks and Stones May Break My Bones become irrelevant? You get offended. So what?
Yeah.
Around about the age of the internet.
Yeah. That's a good point.
That's a fair point. That's a good point.
Well done. Well done, Sam.
yeah.
Thank you.
As I think I said the other week, it's 2017. It is the age of offence.
I can be offended. I have the right to be offended.
I can be offended by anything. It's like I was making this joke at work the other day, and someone was saying about how I can't remember how we got onto the subject, but someone turned around to me and said, "Oh, well, I'm a vegetarian. And I have to listen to you, like, talk about eating meat." It's just like, well, one, we don't always talk about eating meat, and two, that's your choice. And if you're offended by that, don't give a crap. I was like, as a person who is allergic to peanuts, I am offended that peanuts are sold in shops.
yeah.
Well,
you've got
it's
no.
stupid.
So you have a legitimate medical reason as to why you don't like peanuts because they would kill you.
Yeah, well, it's not that I don't. Well, obviously, I don't know if I would actually like peanuts. But there's I have a
Whenever you
legitimate,
try 'em,
I
you
have
go
a
into
legitimate
anaphylactic
reason
shock.
to not go anywhere near peanuts. But that's not. I wouldn't then turn around and say because I can't have peanuts, nobody should have peanuts.
No. So yours is not choice. Yours is that's fact. So
Yes.
you cannot ingest a peanut, otherwise you will
You will die.
You'll have some kind of health complication, whether that's death, whether that's your face swells up like a giant thumb. Who knows?
Yeah.
But when somebody goes, making a conscious choice not to ingest a certain type of food. So this remove any sort of vegetarian, vegan. Let's say I will not eat any fucking cherries. So I'm making the choice. I'm not going to eat any cherries.
I don't like cherries.
But
I fucking love cherries. Okay.
But if you say, and then somebody starts going, I really like Bakewell tart, sorry, which has cherries in it, by the way. Then you'd be, I can't really be like, oh no, stop talking about that. I don't like cherries. Oh, I can't eat them. Oh, have you got a medical disorder? No, I just make a conscious choice not to eat cherries.
Yes, but that's what people do nowadays.
Yes, that is what people
the one
do.
thing
It's
that
ridiculous.
I will say, like, kind of like playing, putting the debate side of things in the other side. I know
devil's
from
advocate.
from a friend of mine who is actually a vegan.
Is this
and
the friend
she's-
that we all know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's very passionate about it. Now, the thing is, there's quite a few things I agree and disagree with her for it. The thing that I can kind of see is when she's got to that stage now where she's seen so many things, for example, animal abuse, the
Animal
things that
yeah, I completely agree
she
with that sort of
connects
stuff.
that completely directly to meat. So whenever she sees meat, whenever she hears meat, whenever that subject is there, and I think she doesn't know what I'm doing it, her feelings get brought up, and when you've got a high level of empathy, especially, that becomes actually quite painful. Because did you know 2% of people in the world, if they see someone getting hurt, they physically feel pain. It's the
That's
weirdest thing.
interesting.
Yeah. So if someone breaks their arm, imagine watching a horror film or Saw.
Oh, that
Flipping
would fuck you up.
So she connects that identity. So whenever anyone talks about meat and stuff like that, she's connected it to that, which is at the end of the day not the best thing to do, because you would always be like kind of like, anytime anyone talks about it.
I think there's a. Well, we're eventually going to have to talk about Cage Steel, so I'll try and wrap this up. When people look at meat now, I think there is a problem in a modern society of people who eat meat. So say people, I think there's a problem with people who eat meat in terms of they don't connect that it used to be an animal. So that they just say, oh, it's a piece of. So some people are like this. You know, they package it in the supermarkets, the plastic wrap and everything like that. They don't, and then or when you see a fish on a fish counter, you know how often it will be sold with its head and tail. Well, I know people who find it disgusting. They can't eat that fish, but if you cut the head and tail off and serve it to them, they could eat it.
Yeah, it's so weird.
So it's super
Bizarre.
strange. So
where
I'd
did you
say
think it came from?
I'd say our society is broken in that term, or is not as it should be, because we don't understand. We're not willing to accept that we've actually killed something to survive or to sustain ourselves. So I agree in terms of there needs to be more acceptance by our society that we do kill things to survive. But that's always been, we've always done that since we were first since we first evolved, since the very iteration of our since bacteria, we have killed things to sustain ourselves. That's not a joke, it's not an exaggeration. We have killed things to sustain ourselves.
I will add to that. I completely before we go to Cage Steel, like what you believe in that regard, I agree with it in terms of evolution and stuff like that, and why people get grossed out. It's, I think, more to do with self-awareness within yourself as to, this is why I'm this way. For example, if I was my friend, I'd be like, I've got a higher level of empathy. I've connected that to animals. I have to find a way to go through life without being kind of emotionally, angered by it. So I've been doing a lot recently on trying to figure out the way I think. Like, I do a lot of abductive reasoning.
What's abductive reasoning for people?
So abductive reasoning is basically when you take a logical outcome of a situation.
Yeah.
For example, my car is outside parked out.
Okay.
So I would make the logical conclusion that I am currently in Hiscox.
Yeah.
That's going to be edited out.
You're here in this office, yeah?
I made the logical conclusion that I'm in this office. So it's basically getting a bit of information and connecting the dots there.
Yeah.
The problem with that is if you don't have a lot of information to go by, you make a lot of assumptions.
You jump to conclusions.
And you jump to conclusions as a result of it. Instead of deductive reasoning, we're saying the car's not outside the building.
Yeah.
That means that he could not possibly be there because of this, and this.
Okay.
It's making an assumption instead of a deduction.
I see what you mean. Okay, that makes
So
sense.
that was a bit of a long-winded way of putting it. But
I kind of get what you mean, though. In terms of I don't understand personally why some people in our society are like when they package up meat and fish and stuff like that, and then they can't bring themselves to I grew up in near a farm, so some of my family are farmers. So I've grown up where basically this is the thing. We used to own chickens. Mm-hmm. And then one day, we wanted to eat one of the chickens, and I killed one of them. And it's very simple to kill a chicken. It's not actually that difficult. But I love the chickens, but I knew that I was going to kill them to sustain myself. They'd stopped producing eggs. It was older. It was fighting all the other hens. We were going to get some more hens anyway, so we killed the chicken. And I did that, and it was a connection. And I've done deer hunting and stuff like that as well up in Scotland, and it's not that you need to value
How do you
what it's
feel
done.
about? I could tell you were exactly that's
you're not
it.
happy. So I would say you're not happy, but it is a weird thing because you do get it's weird, and I will say, but you do get a spike in your sort of the way you act. So you will become more alert when you kill something else. You will become more alert.
Adrenaline
So
spike,
deer hunting was the best one, where I got into a zone where me and my granddad, we posted up in a position downwind of the deer. we selected which stag we would basically kill. So it was one of the older stags, because basically it was past its breeding age, so it couldn't breed anymore. But it's fighting all the young stags, which isn't good for the herd, because then the genetic pool isn't as good. So we posted up with the rifle. It was the first time
Surely
I'd ever...
you'd argue though that stag would take out all the weaker males, which then would leave the stronger males to breed. So that
not
would
necessarily, because the problem you get is like that older stag is still hanging round, and he's stopping the younger stags from being able to mate and basically renew the gene pool, because he was stopping them from mating. So the gene pool would have stagnated for a period of time until a younger stag got big enough to fight him and potentially kill him, or fight him off, and then he would die alone, basically. But when you
brutal
kill,
on the same with lions.
when you kill an animal, you need to. Well, I have this thing that I do basically, of that you need to basically thank it for what it's giving you at the end of the day. So like the chicken used to give me eggs. I used to love the little chicken. It used to eat all the seed and shit that I used to throw down. Thanked it for its eggs, and then I killed it because I wanted to eat it, and I thanked it for giving me the meat. Kind of weird in my head. I didn't say it out loud. The deer, when I shot it and we walked up to it, it was dead because thankfully I did hit a good shot. I thanked it for its meat. Like, just in my head, like, that I associated that I killed something and it is giving me something. I took its life and I'm thanking it for what it's done. So my action caused its death. I know that's what I did, but I'm thanking it for the sustenance it gives me.
Again, you can say that in that regard. I think the thing with that is the opposite argument is we don't really need to do that anymore.
We don't need to until some shit hits the fan.
Yeah,
like,
but shit hasn't hit the fan. I think it's one of those things.
It will eventually. There's going to be a time where shit hits the fan. There's not, and it's not like our modern society is that peaceful anyway. And the argument again could be
we are at that level of technological advancement that even if shit hits the fan, we know so much now that the fan will be a lot less shitted.
I don't know, mate. I don't know. I think it's going to be worse.
I don't think you need to be prepared, for example, to be able to hunt and stuff like that, because in general,
argue against that.
Before it wasn't that easy with the bow and arrow, but now even if you've got a 9mm Glock, you can kind of hunt whatever you want.
No, 9mm is a poor choice for hunting.
No, I know you can't really big game.
You'd basically piss off a bear, or you'd piss off any large animals. You could kill a 9mm Glock is only designed for killing humans. That's all it's designed for. So if you're hunting, you hunt with a rifle.
No, I know that.
Preferably,
but if you shot a bear 50 times,
you'd have to fuck it up. And anyway,
okay, let's not talk about like shooting a bear multiple times.
I don't think a 9mm Glock holds 50 bullets.
No, it only holds about.
Yeah, but
depends on the make.
Called reload smash.
You can have an extended mag.
Hold on, bear.
So some people.
Thank you, bear.
So there's some people they do take pistols with them when they go hunting, and that's normally against like wolves, because a wolf is a much smaller frame. But even then, it's like proper
90
sketchy.
pounds, 110 pounds for a wolf.
But it's the strength of a wolf is insane. But we don't have that problem in Britain. We don't really have problems with wolves or bears or anything like. Although in Devon, where I'm from, there was a story going on about. It was in the news recently, where there was a zoo down there which was shut down, and apparently a panther escaped. Because they basically
heard about that.
And
yeah,
there's a folk story basically that there's I think it was a mating pair escaped from the zoo, and the panthers now roam around Devon. Yeah, there's like a story. There's apparently it's a kind of folklore thing, because they've seen like the big black cats that on the, is it Exmoor? I think it's on Exmoor. So like the more.
Oh, that reminded me. There's this funny story on Facebook where this guy's like, "Has anyone? Is this anyone's cat?" And it's like with like a little bit of foam on its head, and it's a fucking mountain lion. Not a fully grown one, but it's like, is anyone's cat around this area? And there's like loads of comments like, it's hilarious.
Get the fuck away from it.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
that was hilarious.
Anyway, should we move on from our talk there to Cage Steel 19 motherfuckers?
Sick night.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I will say instantaneously, a shout out to Dominic Gibbs and Alex McReynolds at Cage Steel.
Great
thank you very much for your hospitality, letting us attend the event, and having VIP seats
Yeah.
that were kind of at the back of this area near where the sound engineers were. sound engineers and the guys who were doing all the video stuff.
Yeah.
We had
Yeah.
great seats, and we were sat next to Rory Kernigan. So Rory Kernigan, ladies and gentlemen, I think he runs 2 different accounts on Facebook called Muay Thai Authority and MMA Videos. You definitely will have seen them if you like any sort of martial arts. You definitely will have seen them. Brilliant sort of content they put up, brilliant video editing. So please follow those accounts, and also follow Cage Steel's social media accounts as well to stay up to date with what's been going on. But Cage Steel 19 was absolutely brilliant. The quality of the production was fantastic. Like, I was very surprised with how well put together it was, and the sort of the quality that they were doing. It was great in the Donny Dome. All the staff at the Doncaster Dome, sorry.
They were lovely.
All the staff, security, bar, everyone was super nice and friendly to
Yep.
us. No one kicked off all night. No one, apart from some people shouting very loudly over our shoulders.
Do it, Sam.
Everyone was well behaved, and I think everybody enjoyed the night. Definitely, it was pretty much to capacity, I'd say.
Yeah.
There's loads of VIP tables. There's
Yeah.
loads of
Yeah.
VIP tables, which was great to see. You had so many people so close to the action. And then you had the balcony as well, which was quite good. You could see everybody
Yeah, there
shouting
was a
down.
balcony, and then there was a couple of boxes behind the balconies as well.
Oh yeah, there was boxes
Yeah.
as well. I didn't see anybody in the boxes, however.
I did at one point. I looked up, and because I was like, I wonder what that is. I didn't realise it was an actual box until Alex said at the end.
Oh yeah. So hopefully in the future, we could do a live podcast for Cage Steel. That'd be awesome. We could do live commentary. That'd be interesting. But I think I would completely commend the guys, their work, wrapping up the end of 2017 with a great night fights. Production was brilliant. I was very happy with it.
Yeah.
Very, very happy with it. And yeah, Doncaster was quite nice. Apart from the lady in Asda.
Oh, when we went to the...
We got there a bit early, and we went
Yeah.
into
I don't know this story.
So we got there a little bit early, and we were debating whether to go to McDonald's or Asda.
Yeah.
Went into Asda, obviously, so you
Yeah.
could get some cigarettes, and we could get some food. We went to the hot chicken aisle.
Oh, yeah.
Good
we got
shout.
some hot and spicy chicken strips.
£1.50. Asda, we love you.
Beautiful.
So we spent a lot less than we would have in McDonald's, obviously, but sponsored by Asda. I don't think Asda would sponsor this because it's owned by Walmart, and they don't like swearing. Walmart, come on, get your stuff together. Stuff.
Get your shit together. Walmart.
Oh,
Asda, you're good.
Asda.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we like Asda. Chicken.
I don't like
Yeah.
Asda.
You don't like Asda? Why?
No,
I mean, you're going to fuck our sponsorship, right? No, I'm joking.
I don't like them.
Okay, that's fair enough. But the
I,
late
I have
Tesco
my
man.
reasons.
we went to.
Pardon?
You a Tesco man.
I'm a Morrison's man, actually.
I'm a Morrison's. Well, I'm a Morrison's man.
If there is a Morrison's, I will go to the Morrison's, but usually it'll be
Sainsbury's?
Tesco.
Like my Sainsbury's.
Sainsbury's is nice as well.
I go to a Sainsbury's local.
I like how we're doing a fucking. We segued again to rating the fucking quality of British supermarkets. The fuck, guys!
Go on.
Right, let's get our shit together.
So you know how
So as we'll just do the quick story about Asda. So me and Sam went into Asda. We got our chicken. Mickey was away getting his cigarettes and sandwiches, and then we went into what we thought was the self-service checkout aisle.
Yeah.
Turned out it was the scan and go thing. So in Britain, I don't know if this is in like other countries,
Done all the time.
but you got the scan gun where you go around and you scan all the items that you put in your trolley, and then at the end you put the scan gun and you scan a QR code on the screen.
Yeah, and it brings up your grand total.
And then it does
all you
it.
need to do is pay, and then you can fuck off.
Yeah, but then we thought it was the self-service because there was no obvious signage to
Yeah,
say
no,
it
there
was a
wasn't.
scan
And
go.
it actually just looked exactly like a normal self-service.
It was a
whereas
yeah.
usually the scan and go, let's say in Tesco, it has a massive sign above saying
Yeah.
scan and go, and it's just this wall of scan guns.
Yeah, so then
That's all it is.
Yeah.
So then we tried, and we then realised, and then we're like, then the lady was like, oh, sorry guys, it's this. Well, she didn't actually say anything like sorry. She wasn't very polite at all.
The other one did.
Oh, so yes, the younger one.
that then,
the young lady did, but the old lady did not, and she was like.
She's like, guys, what you doing, guys?
Yeah, and then we were like, oh, sorry, we got it wrong, and we were about to just step into the self-service one, and then she went, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? And we were like, well, and then she grabbed the guns, was like, fuck. And I heard her say fuck under her mouth, under her breath. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was a bit like, really, as an employee of a company, you're not being a very good ambassador here by saying being grumpy and rude and everything like that. The young lady was quite nice and happy.
The best part was she didn't actually explain straight away that it was the scan and go. She went, oh, you can only use card.
Yeah, and we were like, that's fine, we'll use card.
Yeah,
we live in a fucking time where most people have card.
To be in all fairness, it was a Saturday night. She was working at Asda at the checkout. She must have been annoyed.
I don't know.
No, still, yeah.
Still, politeness is when you're working
part of-
Yeah,
it's part
hospitality.
of
like
your job.
you shouldn't let it transfer onto other people. As I say, so you should always like put on
In what was clearly
like
an
everyone's got a
honest
phone
mistake.
voice and
Yeah,
stuff
we
like
didn't
that.
mean-
Yeah,
We
yeah.
didn't mean to inconvenience her, and to be honest, the way
Yeah.
she solved it was pretty easy. Where she
Yeah.
just took the gun, scanned my item, and then scanned the QR code, and then it was done.
Yeah.
Is
So-
that how you do it? I've never actually. I've
It was
never gone on them.
It was completely unnecessary. Asda, have a word with the woman on the scan and go thing, and tell her to stop being so rude. Thank you very much. Right, Cage Steel, very fun. First, you have your
I
notebook.
have my Bible.
You have your notebook.
I took notes.
We
So I realised after Nico's fight night,
we didn't have notes.
we didn't really have too many notes. And the blow by blow, and obviously in Nico's fight night, a lot of the running card was out of order, wasn't it?
Yeah,
changed
I
a
mean,
lot of the
that's,
fights
I
around,
think that's the thing you get anyway with like
Yeah, it's
any
the thing that
MMA
you
or
get. It
boxing.
couldn't be helped, but obviously then without us then taking the notes,
We wouldn't know.
we sort of struggled to find, remember which fight went where, didn't we? Because we only had a couple of bits on our phone, and we got so excited by what we were watching, we just completely forgot to take notes.
Yes.
So
yeah,
at
I
this
agree.
point, I made a point of bringing a notepad down so we could get the exact fight running, just in case there was any changes. And yeah,
Yeah, we took all the notes, and we will go through that now.
We,
There
we
was
did
some
sort of
intense
lose ourselves
fights.
in the fights a few times and just have to jot down after the fight was finished.
Some crazy submissions.
So there was
submissions.
how many? We had a few submissions. We had TKOs. We had knockouts. It was a good variety of stuff. And
In
the
terms of
thing about
knockouts, I think it was only just one knockout, as far as I'm aware.
No, there was quite a few.
there's two. Well, there's TK. So
There
there's
was quite a few
TKO.
TKOs.
There's quite a few TKOs, and then there was a brilliant KO, body shot KO by
Ooh,
Adam
yeah.
Bramheld, which was
Yeah.
That was brutal.
very tasty.
That was the bass root and liver shot.
That was a good impression, mate.
Yeah.
That's a good job. But we'll get onto Adam Bramheld's liver shot because I really enjoyed that, and also about like what he was saying on social media about it, which I thought was quite cool as well. I liked that Cage Steel mixed it up where they didn't just do MMA; they
Yeah.
did a bit of cage boxing as well.
Yeah.
Which is a bit. It was more. I think it was quite interesting. Obviously, like boxing guys are quite used to selling tickets, and they have a good fan base as well. So that was good as well because it brought in more people. So that was. And the cage boxing it was quite enjoyable as well. I like the fact of the cage boxing. I prefer it to the ring boxing, in all honesty, because I feel like it does hem you in more, and you can't bounce off the ropes, and you literally have to be ready to go all the time. The
You
action
can't take a break. You can't
But
nothing like that.
I will say the counter to that is that in boxing you can pin somebody into the corner,
Yeah.
whilst in
You can't
cage
really
boxing
do
you
that.
can't really do that.
Caged, yeah.
But that does mean that you have more open exchanges in cage boxing. So
Hmm.
I think there's pros and cons on both sides. I'd say probably it would be interesting to see, because we've been to Nico's fight night where they was in a boxing ring, and it
We
was
did K2 in the
K1.
K1, sorry, in the boxing ring. K2's in Mountain.
Well done. Yes, they did K1. They did K1 in the. There was no K1 actually at this night, which would be interesting to see if they did like a cage Muay Thai, for example, that John
Yeah.
Wayne Parr started. Cage Muay Thai would be interesting. I think there would be quite fun to see a good variety of stuff.
But the boxing fight, you've got the notes there between Marcus and the Lucas Brozep, bro.
Lucas Bro. Well, that was in the first one. So like the first one was
the first one was
Ash
First one was
Gibson.
Ash Gibson versus Dave Yates.
Yes, Ash Gibson from Halifax,
Which was
and Dave Yates from Ludus
A
Gym.
boxing bout held at 90 kilograms.
So that was the first fight of the night.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting, wasn't it? 'Cause it did go to the second round. But it was Ash Gibson who... He sort of came out, didn't he? He wasn't really throwing any punches.
No. So what he was relying on was a lot of like his low level. So he was
Yeah,
he was swaying down. So he bent at the waist, and he was swaying down. And he was trying to throw an overhand right and catch.
yeah, almost like it was his
It catch
sort of
Dave.
haymaker, wasn't it?
That was kind of like his
yeah.
shot he knew that he could land, I think, and he was relying on it quite a lot. But there wasn't a lot of combination from Ash Gibson. It wasn't like he was throwing 3-4 punch combinations and then setting up his overhand right. He was relying a lot on Dave Yates coming in and then trying to catch him by dropping his level and then catching him with the overhand right.
He
But
did
he
actually end
gassed
up
out.
catching Dave Yates with a right at one point, but it wasn't.
It wasn't his overhand right. It was a combination he did in a flurry exchange.
Right.
To defend, so he was basically trying to counter strike when he was upright. That's when he landed his right hand, and then you saw. I think Dave Yates then recalculated, but then I didn't see Ash Gibson go back to that. So I would have liked it if he'd set his jab up, and then he was trying to exchange more in the upright position. He was trying to use the Philly shell a little bit, where he's trying so the Philly shell is kind of hard to explain for people who might not know boxing, but basically it's where you take one of your, depending on your stances, you take one arm instead of both the normal sort of guard position where both of your hands are up by the side of your face, either high guard or it's a lower guard, which is around your chin. So high guard is up where it covers most of your head. And then the low guard is what most boxers use, where it covers the chin and also covers some of the body as well. It's kind of like the easiest one. But a Philly shell is where one hand is still up by your chin and the other one is down, covering your body. And you tuck your chin into your shoulder as well. So you can't be caught on either side of your chin. And you basically are trying to shield
your... block head.
You're trying to shield... Like you're trying to shield your body. And usually the hand that's here, the one that's up by your chin, is the one that's ready. There's the one that's chambered, ready to go, which usually would be your right hand. So you would Philly shell this way. And this is because this one would block any body shots to your leading side.
Yeah.
But and this one would basically stop any shots to your chin, and both sides of your chin are protected. But he tried using it a few times, which I think was quite interesting to use. But in all honesty, Dave Yates employed a very brutal walking him down style where he eventually basically put him away. What was it he put him away with?
I don't know if it was a body shot or it was...
I think it was a right hand. I think it was a right hand he eventually dropped Ash Gibson with in the second round. And I was very impressed with it. He was very, very... composed, Dave Yates, very composed, very he wasn't going mental, but when he was in an exchange where he thought he had it, he was like, you know what, I'm going to put the gas on and see what happened here. And I'd say Dave Yates' conditioning was superior to Ash Gibson, not taking away anything from Ash Gibson, because he did walk in there and he looked quite nice, actually. He looked quite good. But I would say that Dave Yates had conditioned himself ready to go, I think, the full 3 rounds.
Out of all the fighters, who would you say is kind of like the one that shows the most promise, like going
before we've covered any of the fights?
Yeah.
We'll say that at the end. We'll say the ones at the end, mate.
That's probably a good idea.
That's a better way of putting it. That's a better way of doing the order. Fucking hell. So then we had the next
2, which was
fight.
the first semi-final of the bantamweight.
The amateur
tournament.
bantamweight. Yeah. So when Cage Steel announced that they were doing an amateur bantamweight tournament on the night, so it was a 4-man tournament. It was between Reece Street, who was I think he was a replacement because one of the guys dropped out.
Yes,
you had Warren Mason, you had Louis Lee Scott, and Ben Fahy. Sorry, Ben, I don't know how to pronounce your surname. It was good in the lead up because, to be honest, in the tournament, Ben was talking shit. He was saying, "I'm going to beat the fuck out of Louis Lee Scott, or I'm going to beat anybody up. I'm superior." He was talking shit, and he hyped up the fight. And to be honest, you need a little sparkle of shit talking, little flavor in there, just to make it a bit more well rounded. Because you don't want if you have everyone who's like, "Oh, I respect my opponent," blah blah blah. It isn't as entertaining as when somebody goes, "I'm going to kick the fuck out of you. I'm going to beat you like a drum." Like that's more entertaining. It's like that. It's kind of the WWE style, kind of, where they flipping shit talk to each other in the microphone for like 5 minutes each, and then they start fighting, inverted commas.
Yeah.
It's more entertaining though because you get because the temperature rises and you build.
It's like a school fight, isn't it? Where everyone's going around.
That's
and
a good way of putting it. It's a good way of putting it because everyone will pay attention to a school fight. But if somebody just punches somebody straight in the face, no, you're just like, oh well, somebody punched somebody in the face. That was it.
There was no hype to it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like sex basically. It's not just you have to warm up.
Sorry, Ben. We're not comparing you to sex.
Kind of go.
Although, I suppose that's not a bad thing to be compared to. Compared to sex.
I like how you looked at me for a pretty.
Hello.
He didn't even do it. He just kind of.
That's just to say, you get compared to sex.
You get compared to sex, yeah. Yeah, bad sex. Anyway.
Unnecessary.
I know, that was nasty.
Highly untrue.
Oh, hello. We'll have to. We'll talk about that later. Anyway,
show me.
The first semi-final fight was between Reece Street and Warren Mason. Yes. Warren Tank Mason, I think his nickname was.
Yeah.
Tank Mason.
Yeah.
I like that. I quite like that. That's a good one. So basically, it was very quick.
Yeah, it was very quick. 49 seconds, in fact.
So basically, Warren employed a very good tactic in where he didn't want to take any damage, ready so that he would be prepared for the final. Very good idea. So he went instantly for a single leg. Then he turned it into the double leg takedown, secured it, and then landed in Reece's half guard. He then used a knee slide to pass the guard. So for anyone who doesn't understand martial arts, single leg basically is kind of simple, but he grabbed onto one leg to try and take him down. Then he transitioned to grab his other leg, so he had
Connected
both
both
legs,
arms.
connected his hands together. That's the important bit. If you can connect your hands together, you can pick somebody up, basically. Picked him up and then and put him down on the floor and landed in his half guard, which basically is where you will land in between, not in between the legs, but basically one of your legs is in between your opponent's legs when they're on the bottom of the on the bottom of the ground, basically. And then he knee slided, where he basically took that leg that was trapped in between his opponent's legs and slid it out so that he would pass into like a side control position, which is basically where you're at 90 degrees to each other, forming like an L shape, where you have where Warren was on top and Reese was on the bottom. Does that make sense? Yeah? Cool. And then basically Warren transitioned to a north to south position, where basically your heads are overlapping each other. So both legs are sticking out either direction. Warren's still on top. And then
which is not very comfortable, I can guarantee you.
North-south is like, because the position of north-south is that it's a very threatening position when it comes to submissions. But
Slows down your breathing. You got pressure on your chest.
well, yeah, he's pushing down. He's pushing down low with his hips, and and then what happened was, I think Reese moved in some way that Warren was able to grab an arm. He transitioned for the arm bar, but it was in spiderweb to begin with. So spiderweb basically is where Reese did the correct thing of trying to connect his hands together so that the arm couldn't be taken away to be hyperextended for the arm bar. So he connected his hands together, but then Warren peeled the arm, then took the arm, and then arm barred him. Very well done.
It was quick, very well executed.
I mean, he took no
well
damage.
executed.
He took literally no damage.
Yeah.
So he was fresh, completely fresh for the final fight against. Well, we'll move on because the next fight was Louis Lightning Lee Scott and Ben Barbarian Fahey. I think it's Barbarian. I think that was his nickname. In the corner of Louis Lee Scott, I spotted this. Now, Louis is an AVT fighter, so of course he had the AVT head coach, Danny Mitchell.
They were lethal that night, by the way, AVT.
Yeah.
Yes, they went 8-2 on the night.
Yeah.
So basically, most of the AVT guys won. So Asylum Valley Tudo is basically Yorkshire's premier mixed martial arts gym, which is just south of Leeds. I've forgotten the little town it's in, but they've got 3 jiu-jitsu black belts. One of them being Danny Mitchell. Danny Mitchell used to fight in the UFC. He's also fought in Bellator. He scored a twister in Bellator. And he's also one of the most decorated middleweights. I think he competed at middleweight. Yeah, it was middleweight. I think he competed at in whole Britain. I mean, he's retired now, but he's a very good coach. Very technical, exceptionally well-rounded on the ground. He spent time out at Tiger Muay Thai, so his stand-up is, what it needs to be when it comes to what he wanted to do and employ his superior grappling skills in his career. And he's basically been able to transition this to his students. He also in Louis Lee Scott's corner was I think it was Liam Harrison of Bad Company, who's currently the Yokkao Muay Thai champion. I've forgotten what weight category he fights at, unfortunately. Could you just Google, Josh, could you just Google for us Liam Harrison Bad Company? Just see if we can find his weight category. But basically, Liam Harrison, I've seen a lot on his social media. I've seen a lot of him in sort of the Muay Thai world. He's very vicious striker, but technically vicious. Does that make sense? Like, he doesn't just go.
He picks his punch. He's a bit more of a Lyoto Machida kind of
welterweight
technical type of.
Yeah. So but with Muay Thai. So if you took the precise nature of Lyoto Machida and transitioned it into Muay Thai. His leg kicks, by the way, are fucking vicious. He stops fights all the time just with his leg kicks, but his technical knowledge of when to strike, when to exchange with somebody, when to trip them, when to punch with them, it's when to take the clinch, is fucking high level, super high level. And basically, you had excellent striker, top class striker in the corner, and a top level grappler in the corner. That's exactly what you need in terms of a young man who's very athletically gifted. Ben Fahey, I'm not sure really about his corner. I didn't see him, unfortunately, because they were the opposite side of the cage where I could actually see the corner of I think it was the blue corner. We could see the blue corner's corner people.
Yeah.
Couldn't see the red corners, unfortunately. Now, it was an interesting fight because obviously the shit talking between Ben and Louis Lee Scott. Ben trying to hype the fight up. I mean, as I said, that's what we needed there. But there was a shit ton of fans for Louis Lee Scott. A shit ton of fans, all screaming, lightning, lightning. The most Yorkshire, basically saying Yorkshire, but saying lightning.
Lightning, lightning,
Exactly
lightning.
that. And it was, they were all up to our, they were all to our left, all at the top. And they were all fucking screaming down.
I did notice at one point as well they were doing the "Marching On Together" song, which is the song that Leeds United.
I think he's a Leeds
play.
United.
Yeah, he did. He
He
had the
got
flag and
the flag,
everything.
didn't he?
Yeah, he's a Leeds
Yeah.
United supporter. So hopefully, he keeps fighting and eventually he can get himself a box at Leeds United.
Yeah, he was pretty lethal, to be fair. I think he's
Yeah,
going to go
so
far.
I mean, we started up with each other trying to basically test each other's stand up, but immediately they clinched. You had Louis get basically secure the takedown and then pass straight to side control, transitioning for the takedown. So he didn't have to contend with Ben's guard at all. So he didn't have to deal with the legs, and then he was able to. And then Ben basically was able to make a bit of space. I think he landed one good up kick and was able to get back up. So they got back to the feet. And then once they got back to the feet, it was back to the clinch. Takedown by Louis Lee Scott was with a double under kind of upwards throw.
Which we
So
saw a
side
lot from the
control.
AVT guys. We saw a lot of
Yeah.
double leg takedowns. They avoided
Double leg
they avoided
and-
the striking going under like quite low.
He again passed to side control. So this is where, I mean, Louis didn't really have to stagnate with his groundwork. He instantly transitioned.
And you realise
To
when
side
they picked
control.
them up, they twisted them straight on their side. So
Yeah,
they
so
go
the side control.
exactly. So just like what you were saying, yeah.
Yeah,
it's
perfect side control
really well done.
transition, and then basically started with very precise ground and pound from the quarter guard. So quarter guard is an interesting one where it's a bit like half guard, but so half guard basically is where the person on the bottom, in this case Ben, would secure one of his opponent's legs who's on top of him in between his two legs. So that's called half guard. But then what Louis did was he basically trapped his legs, so he took control of the position. So half guard isn't great on the bottom when somebody's trying to strike with you because you've got no defense. Basically, you haven't got as much defense as you
your
do with
arms
full guard.
trapped on.
So it's that with full guard, you've got your hips and both legs to push people around and make space. But with that on the bottom, first of all, you're on your side, you're canted onto your side, and you're trying to trap that person's leg. But you've got one arm to defend against the head. So you're on your side with one arm defending, and it leaves you quite open. And this other arm's not really able to do much because it's pinned against the mat.
Yeah.
So then you've got the issue that Louis then triangled his legs to make sure that Ben couldn't move off of the ground. Because one of the defenses with going into half guard is you dive underneath your opponent and transition to get underneath to hopefully get up, or to try and go for leg locks, which that didn't happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, I didn't see even a one attempt.
So he took the quarter guard and was just not trying to blitz him with ground and pound. He was picking his shots, just trying to catch him on the chin, every time with his right hand. His left hand was basically trying to move his guard on the floor around so that he could hit him in the chin. And he bounced his head off the canvas a couple of times. The referee stepped closer, and then once, twice, and then the referee stopped it.
Yeah.
It was very precise ground and pound by Louis Lee Scott. Obviously, Ben Verhey, and I've seen Ben Verhey post on social media, he said that his ground game let him down. So I think going forwards, I think probably Ben's going to focus on doing more groundwork. I would hope he would, because I'd like to see him have a more well-rounded game. Because I think in the stand-up exchanges, he is quite a big bantamweight. I think he could do quite well. I'd like to see him work on his ground game and be threatening off of the bottom. Because if he had a good submission game off his back, triangles, arm bars, omoplatas, he would have stifled some of Louis Lee Scott's. He wouldn't have got the ground and pound going. He would have had to sit in the guard probably. And then they would have stood up, and then I think Ben could have implemented his.
I think
striking.
takedown defense was like the sprawl and stuff. That's the one thing that you read. Like I didn't see that much of.
I didn't know. I agree. I didn't see that. And I didn't see I didn't see the base. I didn't see. So when you're counter wrestling, your base needs to be as wide as possible to stop the connection for the double leg
and
takedown.
your body weight needs to be as far forward as possible. Your legs
and
need
down.
to be,
and down as well.
It's a weird thing to do. It's like it's
almost counterintuitive.
Yeah, it's counterintuitive
Almost.
to put it there, and you think you're going to fall over, but you're relying on your opponent to actually keep your body weight up.
They're either trying to push you up and take you down.
Yeah.
But if you're pushing all your weight through them, then they're carrying all of the weight of both of you, and you're barely carrying any.
Yeah.
It's interesting. But so in that one, there's a little bit of damage that was given to Louis. But then again, there wasn't that much damage, as I would say. So I'd say going into it, I was like, well, Warren took no damage and Louis took a little bit. So I'm going to have to give the edge to Warren because he took basically none. So the final between Warren and Louis was fought later on in the night.
Yep.
The next one we moved to was a fight. That was a MMA fight. What weight was that at?
It's at the back.
Oh, it's thank you, mate.
So, no, it's not that. It's Brad Lawton. So, because they spelled Brad Lawton's name wrong on one of them, but I don't know which one.
No, I can't see it, unfortunately. Brad Lawton, isn't it? Here.
Yeah.
There it is. 77 kilogram.
Yep.
So is it 77 kilogram, which I believe is welterweight? Yeah, I think that's welterweight. Tommy Coyle versus Brad Lawton. And that was, in essence, it was Tommy Coyle who dominated the first and second because of his superior takedown and clinch work. So he was able to get into the clinch early on in the first round, get the and secure the takedown. Stay dominant in that position. Second round, carbon copy. Apart from in the last minute, basically, Brad was able to reverse the position from being in full mount. So he was in full mount and then reversed it and being able to get into his opponent's guard and ended on top.
Yeah.
However, in the third round, Tommy was able to secure a rear naked choke and basically won with his superior ground game. I mean, his ground skills were superior. And what gym was Tommy Coyle fighting from?
Tommy Coyle was AVT stuff. Yeah.
AVT. So the superior ground skills of AVT seem to be a deciding factor when it came to...
It's kind of the technique is go in, pick him up, get it straight on the ground, get straight into side control, roughen him up, and kind of just look for either get the full mount, which we saw quite a few times, or completely just get a submission out of him, and it's very effective, I think.
Yeah. It was. I mean, they knew exactly what they wanted to do. If they couldn't win on the strike, and they took it down where they knew they had the advantage.
Yeah. And we were talking about this with Rory. As I said, like in America and Russia, they've got a lot of curriculums in terms of
wrestling.
None of that in England.
Nothing.
So going up against someone and without takedown defense is quite common.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that's a systemic problem in Britain, and hopefully that can change.
That's true. How's Bisping in his wrestling and stuff like that?
Well, now he's moved to America. He's a lot better, but still, compared to like the upper echelon, I mean, he couldn't defend a takedown against Chael Sonnen.
Well, to be fair, Chael Sonnen's a really good wrestler. Like
he's very
terms
good
of
quality
wrestling.
wrestler. He could even GSP. Well, I don't think GSP even really took him down that much, but during their fight, but.
Yeah, but GSP can do anything. Like you can't. There's not a weak point in GSP's game that I'm aware of. There's not a weakness in.
He's not a knockout artist. I'd say that's probably his only thing. Like he's very good. He's good technical striker, but he's much like GSP. Sorry, he's much like Bisping. He's not a knockout artist. He doesn't knock out people.
But Bisping more. They both kind of rely on their stamina at the end of the day.
Yeah,
and
insane athletic
their
prowess.
cardio, which
cardiovascular
is just, like, ridiculous.
system.
Yeah.
So moving on to the next fight on Cage Steel was Kai Holmes versus Nathan Thompson. We're fans of Nathan Thompson, so shout out to Nathan Thompson at Nath Thompson on Twitter, and I think it's
Nath
Tomps, which is spelled NATH again OMPS.
Wait, I've got it here. It's oh no, you're talking about
talk about his Twitter and Instagram handles. He's super nice guy. We saw him at Nico's fight night. We were very impressed with his technical striking. He won there, obviously, as we covered in the last.
Good high kicks as well.
A good variety. The thing about Nathan is he had a good level. He had a good variety of kicks. And
I remember at Nico's fight night, he had a good variety of kicks, but he was also able to defend against kicks really well. Yeah,
with this fight, it was interesting because Kai Holmes.
He came out flying.
So Kai Holmes started with a lead leg hook kick. So that, for anyone who doesn't know what that is, a lead leg hook kick basically is instead of like a roundhouse kick where you kick round the house and you're kicking with the front of your foot, you reverse the actual kind of angle of attack where you take your foot. So you're my right leg. So I'm stood in an orthodox stance with my left foot forwards and my right leg back. He took his right leg out and would come across the opposite direction across his own body.
Isn't that
to
like
try
a
and hit
question
him.
mark kick?
No, so it's a hook kick because you're hooking with the heel of your foot.
Yeah, okay.
He did use a question mark kick later on, however.
Yeah, that's where. Yeah.
Yeah, so he transitioned from the hook kick to a spinning hook kick. So he was very so he transitioned to a spinning hook kick, which is a fantastic display of kicking techniques, and then they instantly entered into sort of the clinch work, clinch, and then they went down to basically to the canvas. With I don't know whether it was a takedown or whether it was that Kai Holmes was trying to pull guard. It looked like Kai Holmes was trying to pull guard, which I hope
Kind
more
of grabbing
people do.
him, pulling his body weight
Pulling him
inwards,
into the guard. Yeah, I want to see more people use that.
That's one of those things, when you're up against a cage or something like that, you can just kind of like grab the other person, use your body weight, and just pull him inwards.
It's because you think about it, most people resist and they don't want to be on the bottom. But if you've got superior submission skills, or if you've got superior sort of, if you just are better on the ground, even if
we
you're
saw a lot of fights where the people on the ground were not doing that well, to be honest.
on the bottom, that is, yeah. On the bottom, there wasn't. I agree with you basically.
Like it might be one of those things where you get them sideways on. But that's always the trick of maneuver because you never know how you're going to land.
Yeah, and with this, the first round for Holmes Thompson was, I think it could have went either way. In all honesty, I think because Thompson was on top, that's what they scored it to Thompson. But I would say from the submission threats and the damage from the bottom, I would say I would have given it to Holmes. In all honesty. That was also, he implemented a question mark kick, which was beautiful when he threw it, but he wasn't landing. So he wasn't landing his kicks.
You don't get any marks for flamboyancy.
No, you don't get marks if it doesn't land. But Nathan Thompson had the top pressure game, but I didn't see him land as much damage as I thought Holmes did from the bottom, and the submission threats from the bottom as well.
I guess getting taken down and being that's quite a lot of marks, isn't it?
It can be. It depends on the scoring system. So some of the older school MMA judges and referees. Judges, they will score takedowns, but like if you don't do anything with a takedown, I don't think you should really. You need to score with punches, elbows. It's an amateur fight, but
like, did you see the slam? I can't remember which fighter it was. We picked him up and just absolutely slammed down. That did some damage and a half.
Yeah, we saw some slams.
Shakes your spine.
Yeah. And then the second round came out, and basically Holmes implemented a stand-up game, so a switch. He didn't want to be on the bottom. He started implementing a lot of leg kicks that were very successful, very good. They were buckling Nathan's lead leg.
Yeah.
However, when it came to getting into the clinch work, Nathan was implementing basically dirty boxing. So he had a half tie clinch and was trying to implement basically his right hand a lot to try and see if he could disrupt him. It was interesting. It would look like he was trying to he wanted to be closer to Kai, while Kai wanted to be.
Did Kai have the longer reach?
I'd say they were quite evenly matched. They seemed similar height.
In terms of athletic build and the way
they seemed quite similar, in all honesty. But I would have edged it to be honest, to Holmes because of the leg kicks. So the leg kicks were scoring a lot and were causing Nathan a bit of problem, if I'm honest. But then in the third round, Nathan changed his approach. He was checking the leg kicks. He adapted to it, and to be honest, I commend him quite heavily for that because he took he basically took the stimuli that Kai was giving to him, and he went, you know what, I'm going to change it up, and he checked kicks, eventually got it to the ground, and just had a better top game, more success than he had in the first round. And this is where I think the first round was a 50-50. Could have went either way.
Second round, I think, was...
Second round was, I'd give that to Holmes, but I definitely would give the third round to Thompson.
All the way,
yeah. Now, interestingly, with judges, they usually will score, and they usually give the winner on the last things they see. So
is that more of like a human kind of trait?
Yeah,
kind of
it's a fight. And I would say I would if because it's a round scoring basis. It's a 10-point must system. So you give 10 to the winner and 9 to the loser of the round.
Mm-hmm.
So in my books, I actually scored Kai Holmes winning it, but it was that 50-50. I think it was just.
It was
a 50-50 first round.
Groundwork, and it was the fact that Nathan was.
He was on top. He was on top. He was on top for 2 rounds. He was on top for 2 rounds, and I think that's what won him. I think his third round was his best bit. So I think Nathan didn't start out as quickly as he could have.
I'd love to see a fight with them two again, though.
I would. It was very, but I'd like to see Nathan use used his striking more, because I think he was a bit like, what the fuck, when Kai opened up with a hook kick, spinning hook kick, question mark kicks. He was
he was trying to disorientate him and really just
trying to fuck up he was trying to fuck up Nathan's
game
sort
plan
of
and
rhythm.
kind of, yeah.
And I think he successfully did, in all honesty. But then I think Nathan changed his approach, and I commend him for that. Checked the leg kicks, took him down, and in that last round he used much superior ground skills. Got very good top game in there. So it was a win for Nathan Thompson. He moves on. Hopefully we'll see him in the new year. I think the guy
Kai
said
Holmes was from the Lodge as well. They had 2 fighters, and they were actually
they were quite good.
They were quite good.
quite
The
good.
Lodge is some people to look at, because the other fight was Jack Comby versus I'm going to get this name wrong. Piotr Chmele. I can say these names usually.
Sorry, that's a fight later on, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm just
Interesting.
kind of segueing onto that because he's from the Lodge as well. But carry on.
Fair enough. Then the next fight was
Adam the Quiet Man Jones
against Brandon Elwell. We didn't get his. I don't know if he had a. I don't know if he had a nickname.
I want to.
Can't remember Brandon's.
But it was quite funny, wasn't it? Because it was this sort of
the Quiet
happened.
Man.
Yeah, I
the
said
Quiet
to you,
Man.
I went, of all the names, like the Quiet Man. It's
Quiet Man's an interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting one.
But he was a very, very good fighter.
Yes, he was. He had a superior striking in the first round when they opened up. He had a very good top game, and his right hand was money. Was Adam Jones, the Quiet Man. Although in the first round, Brandon was threatening submissions from the bottom.
Yeah.
So he wasn't like he was inactive on the bottom. He was threatening him. Round 2 was a carbon copy of the first round.
Yeah.
So 2 rounds instantly went to Adam Jones. And then for the third round, it was dominant in the clinch. Again, he took the top game and is very strong ground and pound. Very, very exciting to see some very good ground and pound. I love me some ground and pound. It was very, very clinical when he needed to be, and he flurried when he needed to. So when he knew he was open, when he'd opened up a hole in Brandon's guard on the floor, he flurried. But then he didn't gas himself. He stopped.
He didn't go all out.
Exactly. He's just very precise. He wanted to try and see if he could catch him on the chin or catch him somewhere that he would make him cover up and then maybe hopefully finish it. But that was a unanimous decision win for Adam the Quiet Man Jones. For God's sake, I want to see a really interesting. I'd like it if his intro, I think Adam, in the future, your intro should be just you doing this, doing the old finger on the lips. Get the hot and do that and try and see if you can get the entire crowd.
Sound of silence as he goes.
Yes, yes. Get the Simon & Garfunkel's The Sound of Silence on as your intro music. That'd be scary as fuck, wouldn't it?
Have you seen the Disturbed version? That's pretty sick.
That'd be
So
get the Disturbed version. That'd be. Imagine how scary that would be.
Just walk really like
slow.
Because at first,
stalking.
for some reason, I thought like Kane off Wrestling Mania. Like
yeah, I know what you mean. That would be awesome. So big respect over to.
A lot of promise, I think.
To Adam Jones, the Quiet Man Jones. I love it. So the next one was a boxing bout between Lucas Bro and Marcus James.
This one was interesting.
Yes.
I actually
was interesting.
I
interesting.
really enjoyed that one.
Lucas Bro was the one who was an independent fighter, wasn't he? So
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
didn't have anyone in the corner, but he had one hell of a following, didn't he? And they were just up behind us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did,
They had a big. He had a big following there, which is nice to see. Obviously, you want because all fighters obviously they sell their own tickets, so they have their own tickets given to them by the promoter, and they've got to sell them and try and they can make some money out of it. They have a good ticket deal. That's how it works. And basically, it seemed like Lucas sold quite a lot of tickets. He had a good few fans.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
He was an independent fighter. He had one guy in his corner. Independent fighter basically means he's not representing any gym. So the gym didn't corner him, which was I think if he'd had a cornerman or cornermen. It would have been quite interesting to see if they give him some technical advice.
The
and
thing
try
that
to
I
help
like
him
is
out.
he wasn't at all put off because Marcus came in and he kept trying to pick him apart and kept punching him, and Lucas kind of took it all in, and he was just like really consistent, and then just kept moving forward.
However, he only had his left hook. Realistically,
he kind of tried to.
Lucas Bro did not.
Lucas Bro literally, I'd
tried
say,
to swing it over.
he was trying to catch him continuously with a left hook, and that might be his bread and butter. But he wasn't setting his left hook up, so he wasn't jab, cross, left hook. And if you want to, and there's some in striking, in certain terms of striking, there's an argument to be made that you should finish with your lead hand. Because you're setting up. Because if you imagine the distance of it, your jab, you've measured distance. Your right hand you use to cover whatever's coming after, or you score with it on the chin. So the left hand, which is already in range, you know it is from the jab and the cross. If you finish with a left hook, you're probably going to catch him. If he put a combination together and finished always with the left hook, I think he would have got through with it.
But he tried to get him on the counter instead.
He was trying to catch him with either
Yeah.
a counter left hook, which can be successful, but the size of Marcus James, there's a height disparity between the two.
He had a lot more reach.
Big one.
Yeah.
And basically, Marcus James implemented what I said. He's used a superior jab, his left jab, and his right hand. And he was using combinations. He was
Trying to
continuously
pick him
touching
apart,
him.
open him
He
up,
was continuously touching him, and then he was able to keep him on the end of the punches.
Yeah.
And also, his cardiovascular system for Marcus James was superior.
Yeah.
For
To be fair, he was expending, I think, a bit too much energy jumping about the ring and stuff like that. You could tell by the end of it.
At the end of the fight, at the end of the fight, he was still fine. He was smiling. He wasn't going. He was fine. But I would say Lucas in the first round he kind of gassed, and then round 2 was carbon copy again.
Yeah.
So Lucas was.
All 3 rounds were really. They were
Yeah.
just
No, to be
opposite
fair,
of
like
each other, weren't they?
I
Yeah.
think the more the fight went on, the more Lucas kind of gained steam.
He seemed to gain a bit of confidence. I think it was the crowd sort of, getting.
Well, it was
behind his
that,
back a
but
bit
like
and,
Marcus wasn't really doing that much damage with his
That's
No,
what
punches.
I
and, like,
agree.
Yeah,
he
that-
wasn't fight. There was no. There's for Marcus. There wasn't like a fight stopping. There wasn't like a game-changing punch that was
No, there
landed,
wasn't,
but it's
yeah.
consistent punches. Now, some people were saying like, "Oh, if it went 5 rounds, or if it went more rounds, then Lucas would have won." Would he? Would he have?
I think it
don't
would have
know.
swung in his favour.
No,
a bit more.
because-
you can't really judge that. Sort
But
of
if
thing,
he'd swung in his favour and it had been a 5-round fight, he still would have lost because Marcus was up 3 rounds.
Well, yeah. Well, at the end of the day, it all depends. Like,
I don't like that argument. I don't like the argument when somebody goes, "Oh, if it had been more rounds," because no, you both knew it was 3 rounds.
Oh no! I'm not arguing what like this the set. I'm telling you about like the fight strategies. It should have been more power from.
I think
from Lucas.
if Lucas had worked,
Marcus was way too inefficient with his energy, and he was losing it more and more.
I would say
3
Lucas
rounds
was
they could have
well.
done.
Lucas in the first 2 rounds, he didn't. He
Yeah,
was
I think
inefficient
it
with
was
his.
Lucas, yeah, I think it was Lucas.
He's relying on the
who
left
was
hand.
looking like he was gassing a bit more.
Yeah.
And
then the third rounder, he must have got a second wind.
That I remember I had in this fight was with Marcus James. He was bringing in together some nice combinations,
Yeah.
but not a lot of them were too.
There wasn't
effective.
power. There wasn't power.
Yeah, it was just
because he was like hopping about and not
almost,
planting his feet that much.
Yeah, it was almost like he
planting
knew
his
he
feet,
was
but
getting
actually
the points, which
leverage.
obviously that makes sense. He knows he's going to win if he gets the more points and then earns the rounds. But
That's a good way of putting it.
I think it was almost like the sort of like what we said about Nate Thompson with the Nikos fight night. Obviously, it's boxing instead. But it was almost like I think if he wanted to finish him, Marcus, if he wanted to finish him, he probably could have done.
If he dug his feet
But,
in,
yeah,
and he
just
started
seems
digging in shots.
He seemed to sort of accept the fact he's like, right, I'm going to win this on points, so that'll do me.
But to be
sort of
honest,
kind of
he
thing.
didn't really take any damage.
No, he didn't. He
So
didn't
fair
really
enough.
take any damage.
Fair enough.
No,
So
yeah,
all good to Marcus James. I think if
It was
Lucas
a decent
Bro,
fight, yeah.
if Lucas
I don't know, I was just
Bro-
kind of rooting for Lucas a bit.
if
so.
Lucas had spent, I would like to have seen if he'd spent time on his cardio, and also if he dropped down a weight category
Yeah.
or two.
Yeah.
I think he'd be quite competitive because there's a big height disparity between it. So the reach was an issue for him.
Yeah.
I think if he was fighting a guy who was more of his size and basically he cut some weight, I think he'd be quite. Because his left hand was
90 kg, wasn't it?
Yeah, his left hand was actually quite. His left. I'm not saying his left hook was bad ever. I just think if he'd set it up, he could have done well.
I think Marcus is pretty promising as well. Like you could tell, like he didn't.
fit.
Was it his debut?
I'm not sure if it was actually, but he looked quite fit. He was a big, tall guy.
Yeah,
he wasn't
athletic.
carrying a lot. He wasn't carrying a lot of weight
Yeah,
on
he's
him.
very, very lean.
Not much
wasn't he?
body fat.
No, and he was basically. I was impressed with his.
And he had the
technique.
beard, which we've all decided.
I was just
continue.
hoping that in the future he spends time on his power punching,
Yeah.
not just his combinations. That's where I'd say the criticism would be. But he won, so that's the important thing.
Yeah.
Next fight was between
Jake Watkins
and Brandon Guest.
Damn.
Now,
So we're just sorry, ladies and gentlemen, just a quick break as Mickey had to go, but me and Sam will continue on with the rest of the fight card for Cage Steel 19. So the next fight was
Jake Watkins versus Brandon Guest.
mixed martial arts, amateur mixed martial arts fight. In essence, we can quickly summarise this. It was a 39-second TKO by Guest against Watkins. Basically, Guest went through him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very quick TKO. And Brandon Guest did have a big following.
Yeah.
I think he got quite pumped up from it and basically went through Watkins quite quickly with a very quick TKO. So he moves on probably to the future. We'll look forward to seeing him again. I hope he continues on this streak, basically.
Yeah.
So moving swiftly on, we move on to a boxing bout, bantamweight title, I think it was.
Yep.
Between Marios
Constandi
and
Matty
against
Omar.
Matty the Snowman Omar.
Oh yeah. The
Yeah.
Snowman.
Matty the Snowman Omar had a fucking giant following.
Yeah, absolutely.
Giant following. Everyone, like the right-hand side of the corner, right-hand side of the arena, they fucking were going mental for him. It was for the vacant 90-kilogram title, and it was a TKO win for Matty Omar in 1 minute 49. It's very, very... I was very impressed with Matty Omar. Very impressed. Good finish. Very good finish. He's been working quite well on his boxing skills, obviously, because he was boxing. But yeah, it was a very good win for him. We'll look forward to seeing him defend his title in the future in the new year. Don't think there's much to say, to be honest, after that.
No. It was a good fight.
Exactly.
Good fight, yeah.
And then
here we move on to... I have a feeling you're going to be able to talk about this one for quite a while.
Oh, yes.
Mike McHugh versus Tommy Lawton.
Yes. Highlight of the night in terms of if Cage Steel did this, it did the terms of like fight of the night stuff or submission of the night, KO of the night. I would say submission of the night had to go to Tommy Lawton with a Peruvian necktie in the first round against Mike McHugh. It was at a middleweight fight, amateur MMA. A Peruvian necktie. For anyone who doesn't know what a Peruvian necktie is, it's kind of like a modified guillotine. In essence, it's a rare submission, but it was wonderful. And basically what happened was it was exchange between them, clinch initiated. Tommy was able to get his hand wrapped around the neck. And basically what you try to do is, like a guillotine, you want to try and cable grip your hands together. You can do it like this, where you cable them, and basically what happens is you take your two hands and cup them like you would be trying to put them behind your ears. Take the two hands and put them together, and they form like an envelope with each other, so they hold on to each other. And then what you do is, with a Peruvian necktie, is you have the hand and with the hands underneath the neck, and then you want to try and step one of your legs over to hold them in position. Basically, it's a very good, very, very technical submission. I would say, Tommy Lawton, you will definitely be having a highlight reel of that submission.
Absolutely,
and I commend you for it.
One of the great parts about that as it was going on, obviously, is just the crowd went.
Well, everybody went mental. I went mental. I was shouting. I was flipping, screaming, going. I was screaming, flipping, saying that it was a Peruvian necktie. He was going to slap on a Peruvian necktie. I was very impressed with that. So well done, Mr. Lawton.
Absolutely, yeah.
Next fight was Rob McAdam versus Jamie Cook.
Hey, here we go.
Come on, Jamie.
Come on, Jamie.
Come on, Cookie.
Shout out to whoever these ladies were.
There was a group of people that were behind us.
Yeah.
Who were fucking screaming.
They loved Jamie Cook. They absolutely loved Jamie Cook. I mean, every other word, just every...
It's him, Jamie.
It's him,
Jamie,
Get
hit
up,
him.
Jamie.
Get up, Jamie.
Come on, Jamie.
He's gassing
Come
Jamie.
on, Jamie.
Jamie.
Come on, Jamie.
Fucking
Jamie.
hell. Cookie, come on, Cookie, come on. Oh my lord. Those people were fucking, they wouldn't give it up. And I felt sorry for the security guard who was just having to be like, oh, come on, guys, right, come on. But I mean, at least he had some decent supporters.
Good support to Jamie.
Now, let's get to it. Rob McAdam, first round. His striking to takedowns, his transition between the two were beautiful. He was able to very slick strike into the takedown. He wasn't overextending himself in the striking where he wasn't in favor. So he would strike and then he transitioned to the takedown. And he'd strike and transition to the takedown. It's very good takedown. And to be honest, all three rounds were the same in terms of he struck with Jamie Cook, and then he dictated when he wanted to take him down. Yeah. It was all in favor of Rob McAdam, and he was I was very impressed with it. Very dominant win for Rob McAdam. Jamie, please, with your fans, just let him sit down. Let him sit down. They were quite. I'm not ragging on them, but I was very
It was good
impressed.
support. It was good support.
Unanimous decision for Rob McAdam there.
Yeah.
Then we move to
Bantamweight
Bantamweight
final.
final.
Between Warren Tank Mason
And Louis Lightning Lee Scott.
Yes.
Well, let's put it this way. It was a win for Louis Lee Scott with a rear naked choke. Very, very impressed with his performance the night. As I said, I thought the favourite would have been Warren because he took no damage.
Yeah.
However, Louis Lee Scott was clinical
Yeah, he was
in his approach. Very clinical. Transition from striking to takedown. Then the exchange was able to take it Warren's back and secure the rear naked choke, especially because they were wearing the amateur gloves, right? You know, the normal MMA gloves are much more closer fit. Amateur ones are a little bit more sticky outy. They're designed slightly differently. They're not 4-ounce gloves. I think they're like 6. I think they're 6-ounce gloves, so they're a bit bigger. So to secure a rear naked choke was quite difficult for Louis, but he did, and he won. He won the amateur bantamweight title. He won for himself £500, and the whole place went mental when he did.
Absolutely erupt,
Fan
didn't it?
favourite,
Yeah.
absolute fan favourite. I look forward to seeing him defend his amateur title. He did call out. I think the ring announcer said, "Have you got it?" He said,
they had a
"Anyone
conversation
in the
afterwards,
top
didn't they?
10 bantamweights in the amateur divisions." He said, "I'm going to fight you all."
Yeah.
And to be honest, I want to see him fight him.
Mm-hmm.
I 100% want to see him fight again. I look forward to seeing him in the future. Now, to Warren's credit, I'd love to see him fight again because he was very good. So I think that
Especially from that first fight.
again. But I'd like to see it where he's able to keep it on the feet and maybe dictate the ground game. So I think I'd like to see both lads again. Obviously, I want to see Louis defend his title, or just compete against the other bantamweights, top tier bantamweights. He's a young lad, and I think he's going to go far. In all honesty, so shout out to Louis Lightning Lee Scott. We wish you all the best for Christmas, and we look forward to seeing you in the new year, mate. Moving on, we go to the amateur welterweight title between Gaz Holmes and Adrian Duchenek.
Yeah.
Duchenek.
Dushnek.
It was it was an absolute brilliant technique expressed by Mr. Duchenek. I was very impressed. Duchenak, sorry. Duchenak, that's it. Sorry, I wrote his name down wrong. Sorry, Adrian, didn't mean to do that. He absolutely obliterated Gaz Holmes with a TKO win in the first round.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic to capture the vacant welterweight title at the amateur level. I'm looking forward to seeing him in the future defend that title because that was a very impressive win by Mr. Duchenak.
Yeah. They did go through quite a series of fights here that were just very, very quick finishes, weren't they?
Yeah. But it kept the running order going, which was what we needed. Then we had an amateur light heavyweight title fight between Jack Comby and Piotr. Oh, what are you doing?
I'm just checking something. There we go.
Oh,
That's fine.
Piotr here we go. Chimelechki. If I'm honest, Peter, his surname is a little bit hard to pronounce. I'm not going to try and do the whole placating.
Chimelechki.
I don't know how to pronounce it, etc. I don't. There we go. So this was a win by Peter. It was the first round. He had superior top game. His ground and pound was perfect. Let him transition to a last-second armbar. Wasn't able to slap it on before the bell rang. The second round, he took Jack Comby down again and won by TKO. It was a very dominant win by Peter. I look forward to seeing him fight again for defending his title at light heavyweight. And to be honest, if he defends it enough times and gets a good record, he probably could quite easily go pro. So I would really look forward to seeing what he does. Continues his amateur career and then goes to professional as well.
Yep. And then now it was moving on to the professional bouts of the evening, which is the final 4 fights, which were done 3 rounds at 5 minutes, weren't they? Mm-hmm. Yep.
So your amateur fights are always 3 rounds by 3 minutes. They don't count on your professional record. So technically, you could go in 0-0, but you have an amateur record of like 10-0.
Yeah.
So now we've got amateur fights that go on in MMA, so it can help basically build up your career, much like boxing. It just helps to build up your career and build up your level until you make your pro debut.
And straight off, right off the bat, it was a very interesting.
So it's between
quite an interesting first professional fight for the evening. So we had Percy the Persecutor Hess.
the Persecutioner.
Persecutioner, that was it. Yeah.
Persecutioner, that's it.
I couldn't get that right. I wrote down Executioner first because I misheard, but it might have been the sparkling wine. But
the sparkling wine.
But it was Percy the Persecutioner, which makes sense.
Yeah, and this is at 77 kg, so that's the weight category that's the welterweight weight category, which is what Mr. Duchniak had secured. He secured the title. So you could argue that whoever fought in this sort of weight category could fight for the title next in the new year. Yeah. And it was against Mr. Madars Flamenas, sorry.
Yep.
I've wrote it down wrong again. The Latvian Express.
Latvian Express, here we go.
Latvia. You had a table behind us that must have been your supporters, Madars, because they were fucking going mental.
And I did happen to capture that on our Instagram page as well.
Yes.
So if you want to see the video of Latvia, head across to our Instagram.
Yes,
I do have that video.
The Gentleman's Debate on Instagram. It was he had a lot of fans. People were booing Percy because they were so pumped for fucking Madars making his pro debut. Now he'd had quite a decorated amateur career and he'd went pro.
Yeah, and it was a very, very impressive.
So when I said earlier he could fight for that welterweight title, I'm wrong because that was an amateur one. But I don't know who holds the Cage Steel welterweight championship. But if Madars can keep this kind of this sort of win rate up, he should be contending for it. Or if it's a vacant welterweight title, he should be fighting for it. Because that was a very impressive win. Now, he fought out of Bateman MMA. We will cover the man who runs Bateman MMA, Mr. James Bateman, later on, as he fought later on in the night.
Yep.
Now, Madars won by TKO on the ground.
Yeah.
Very impressive. Very dominant. Very dominant. He did comment on his weight cut. Or I saw him cutting weight. He cut quite a lot of weight. It was hard for him, but he won. Percy Hess didn't really put up too much athletically, I think, against Madars.
Was it Percy Hess who had the top knot and it came out?
No, that was somebody else. That was before. But at least he didn't have a shit fucking top knot. I'm not shitting on the fighter who had the top knot. I'm shitting on the top knot. I'm not a fan of a top knot.
The haircut in general. It's a very guilty haircut.
Yeah, admittedly, obviously, I know exactly what I'm talking about haircuts being a bald man. But don't do it. Don't do a top knot. But congratulations, Madars. That was fucking fantastic. Yes. Keep up the work. We look forward to seeing you again in the future. Hopefully you get to contend for the welterweight title, whether it's vacant or against whoever's the holder. And to be honest, I would love to see him fight and do a 3-round war with somebody, because I think he's probably got the cardiovascular system for it. And I want to see his striking, not just his ground
absolutely.
Game. So next fight was another professional debut. This was Steve Webster, but the professional debut was for David Zan, the Polish Terminator.
Yeah,
that's a good nickname.
When they announced that, the Polish Terminator, I was like, yeah, that's good. That is good.
Now, David just went through Steve Webster. He picked him up, slammed him, then TKO'd him with elbows.
Yeah.
Then TKO'd him with elbows.
Because he picked him up against the cage, didn't he? And then just took him into the middle. And then did the slam, which was...
Yes. Yeah. It was very, very good. I mean, you obviously saw that the disparity between takedown defense and grappling, because he fucked him up with elbows. So I would love to see David again fight. I think this would be, exceptionally exciting to see him again. I'd like to see more of his striking game, however, again. I think there has been this cage deal highlights that people need to be working on their takedown defense a lot more. There needs to be a much more reliance on the takedown defense so that you can actually use your striking if you want to, but also that there needs to be more. There needs to be better quality on the bottom of being able basically to either retain your guard to wall and wall walk maybe. There needs to be more wall walking going on. And I think also there needs to be a lot more of submission games from the bottom, because we didn't really see very much threat. We only saw that occasionally, and I didn't think there was enough there. I'm not criticising people. They've got to train with what they have, but there needs to be more focus on that by some of the fighters out there that we've seen.
Yeah.
Moving on, we go for
an ultimate fight of the evening.
Yes, pro MMA 64 kilogram fight between Danny Misson and Adam Bramhald. Shout out to Adam Bramhald, Adam Samurai Bramhald.
Yes.
Because we were talking, we were having a bit of backwards and forwards on the Instagram and Twitter actually as well. I'm going to cover this. I'm going to obviously go through the result, and then I'm going to talk about what was said on social media after the fight. Basically, Adam Bramhald, clinical, vicious, persistent striking.
Yeah.
He wouldn't let up with the striking. Danny Misson was obviously trying to counter-strike with him. Adam Bramhald was the one who was pushing the pace of the fight. He did an exceptionally good job, and he dropped Danny Misson with I wouldn't say that's TKO, that's a full KO there.
No, it was announced. They announced it.
Was it a TKO?
Yeah.
Fuck that. That's a fucking KO. He KO'd him with the Bathruten liver shot.
Yep.
Fantastic left hook to the liver, dropped him, and poor old Danny did not have anything.
Danny, as soon as
he hit that liver,
you could see
that liver shot was
Danny
money.
was just like, wow, that was a hit.
That was heavy. And interestingly, so Adam posted this on Facebook, that he had called that shot in the changing rooms to his coach, Simon Stadnicki. So shout out to Simon Stadnicki, the head striking coach at AVT. And Adam called out to his dad as well. So it seems that there was a bit of a Babe Ruth effect for Adam Bramhald, where he called the shot and he executed the shot perfectly. It's rare to see body shots in MMA because most people focus for the head, and I was very impressed with that. I would love to see Adam Bramhald again in the future, in the new year, and see him continue that level of excellent striking. I'd also like to see his ground game, see what it's like. I don't know. He could just be a guy who likes strike. We don't know. But if you're at AVT, you've got to know how to grapple. So I think it'll be interesting to see him in a more protracted fight. So maybe 2-3 rounds. I think it'd be interesting. But I am not going to criticise a guy who wants to finish it in the first round and go enjoy himself on the night out. He did say on one of his posts, he said, I apologise in advance. I can't remember what the club he was going to, but he said, I apologise in advance to the nightclub as it will get fucked up. And that is
it Secrets or something like that?
I don't know if he did go to Secrets, but anyway. He, it was quite funny. A good character on Facebook. Please follow Adam. I think it's AD Samurai on Twitter, or Adam at Adam Bramhald. So please follow him on the respective social medias. Then we had the main event of the night was Nathius Frederick, Nathias. Thank you for correcting me. And James Bateman. Imagine if I said James Bateman's name funny, then you went, no, it's actually James Bateman.
James Batterman.
Batterman, yes. No. Basically... Sorry? Basically, it was a good fight. I enjoyed that as a main event.
Yeah.
It was very good. James Bateman, he runs Bateman MMA, which is based in Grimsby, I believe. Bateman MMA. Could you just Google Bateman MMA for us, please? I think it's in Grimsby. So if you type in Bateman MMA Grimsby, he basically, it sounds like he's the head coach there, but he's also a fighter. Interestingly,
yes. Yeah.
Round one between the two of them.
It was a very, very good.
I scored it as basically a draw.
Yeah.
Because is it in Grimsby? So right. So yeah. Sorry. So Bateman MMA in Grimsby. If you're in Grimsby, go train there, because James Bateman employed an early tactic of he wasn't going to fuck around with Nathias and try and strike with him. He basically was like, you know what? I'm going to take him down and I'm going to try and impose my will on him. However, Nathias is a very strong man because he was able to reverse the position against James and land damage.
The damage was with the knees, wasn't it? They were very impressive.
So basically, when he'd reversed the position and Nathias got on top, he was able to get Bateman's back and was able to basically knee him on the ground. It's obviously to his body, not to his head, as you're not allowed to currently in the current rules of MMA. Viciously kneed him in the body. But but Bateman had been on top most of the round and had scored damage as well. So I would have scored that as a 9-9.
Absolutely.
Round 2, however, was when Frederic
It's
stepped
sort
on the
of-
gas.
The second round started off in almost exactly the same manner, wasn't it?
Bateman engaged into the clinch, then took him down. Nathias on his back. Then Nathias worked to reverse the position, took Bateman's back, kneed him a couple of times in the side,
and all of a sudden it was-
and then finished him with punches. So it was a big win for Frederic. That was a title eliminator fight for the middleweight title, which is currently held by Glenn Irvine. Glenn Irvine of Northern Ireland. Shout out to Glenn Irvine of Northern Ireland. I used to live in Belfast. I don't know if he is from Belfast, but hey, Northern Ireland is an unusual place. Fairly, I'll say fairly rough, as I grew up there, and I had a lot of fun. Fun being beaten the fuck out of because I was an Englishman. So he is definitely a tough man. I look forward to seeing the fight between Nathias Frederic and Glenn Irvine in the new year for the middleweight title, for the pro middleweight title. Early prediction, I would say, because Glenn Irvine won I think he won his last fight by guillotine. I don't know. I would say I'm going to go with the Belfastman, but that's because the Northern Irishman, because I am biased as fuck. However, got to contend with Nathias. He is very athletically gifted.
Yeah.
I would say he is going to be a force to be reckoned with in Cage Steel's roster, the middleweight stuff. But to round off the night, he was brilliant. Fantastic. It was amazing. The best trade deal ever. No, I'm not going to do a Trump here. It was very enjoyable. Cage Steel, excellent production, and I hope to see them expand in the new year. I think they're back March 17th. That's when they're next back. We also saw Nico Jokia at the event. He was sat near the announcers. He said that they're going to be back with Nico's fight night in April. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure the date. I've forgotten the date exactly, but Nico probably, if Nico sees this, please just send us a message and let us know when that is. In the future, we hope to cover the event live. So hopefully, we're going to have the whole Gentleman's Debate gang, as all three of us went, apart from Josh. But that's only because, Josh has only been recently with us. In the future, we'll have Josh help us with all the sort of setup. We're doing it live. So this will be an interesting one to cover the event live. Hopefully, it would be interesting to do it again in the Donny Dome. But how interesting would it be if it was in York or Leeds or Sheffield or any other city? I think Cage Steel can expand across Yorkshire and hopefully the rest of the north of England in the future and become a real powerhouse for British MMA.
Yorkshire.
Latvia.
Cool. So that is Cage Steel 19, ladies and gentlemen. In the new year, March 17th, look out for their event. It's going to be brilliant. Do we have any funny news articles, Josh?
We do.
Cool. So we're going to round off with the funny news.
As I previously mentioned, parents outrage as Postman Pat episode shows first ever outdoor sex scene.
What?
This is different. Oh, Postman Pat.
Postman Pat featured first outdoor sex scene.
Yep.
Right.
What?
Cool.
It's
Interesting.
like a gay sex scene.
A gay sex scene between who? Who's the guys fucking? Do you know the characters? Do you remember the
Is
characters?
this the same one that I saw before?
Pat and Alf.
Pat and Alf.
Yeah.
Can you?
Oh, is this where one of them's got the head stuck in the tree?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Oh no. So he had his head stuck in the tree. He wasn't trying to fuck.
Definitely.
It's 2017. You have to ask permission.
You didn't have
you
to
don't.
in 2016.
No, you didn't.
You've always had to ask permission.
Yes, you've always had to.
Harvey.
Harvey.
Kevin.
Louis C.K.
Kevin,
Louis C.K. Well, Louis never.
Jimmy.
Louis never fucked anybody, but he did
Actually,
wank off in front of people.
He did actually ask permission as well.
He asked. I
They
did
just
say.
said no, and then he did it anyway.
Yeah, so maybe he misheard. I don't know.
Shame on you, Louis.
So shame on Postman Pat for having sex with Alf in a tree. Shame on you, Postman Pat. Have you seen new Postman Pat that's animated? It's not claymation anymore.
Yeah.
So shit. It's like Fireman Sam, which you saw earlier. Fireman Sam, we had a bit of a...
Yeah, there was a gay sex scene in Fireman Sam, apparently.
wasn't gay. He was trying to help
Oh, I think-
Sam
I think it was
with
something
his
to do with the guy's
trousers.
back.
No, he's trying to help him with his
No,
trousers.
because he had a hand on his back.
Yeah, he's trying to just massage his back, and tickle his
Doing
balls.
something,
What?
yeah, but there was outrage because apparently it looked like a gay sex scene.
He did look like. Well, I'm sorry, but
Wow.
there's loads of stuff in child's cartoons where they slip in
Yeah,
gay
like,
stuff.
None of these
so it's
are
like more
thing.
sex stuff.
outraged about all the
Captain Pugwash?
very, very
Masturbates.
Yeah, but what about just
Semen stains.
going back to the old Disney films? They were fucking.
They're neo-Nazi, not neo. So there was Nazi insignia in there. There was anti-Semite stuff. There's loads of stuff
There
inside
was a
of
lot
Disney.
of phallic imagery as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird shit going on. But that, I suppose when you've been doing it for fucking years and years, you get a bit bored and you think, what jokes can we slip in? Poor choice of words. Right, next one, Josh.
That's it for.
Oh, that's the entire funny
yeah.
news article.
But
Here we go.
it's not a funny news article.
Okay.
Empire, the film and TV magazine,
Yeah.
recently did a list of the best Christmas films.
Yes.
Guess what was ranked number one?
Better be Die Hard.
Hard.
Die Hard is the. I mean, like,
Die Hard
Count
is the
Bruce
best
Willis
Christmas-
is here with us today.
peace out, motherfuckers. I like that.
I
That's
was
a good name.
talking to,
It's a good
uh,
name. Discount Bruce
I was
Willis.
talking to someone the other day. I can't remember who we were talking to, but someone was saying, "Oh, Die Hard's not a Christmas film." I was like,
Yes,
"What?
it bloody
It's
is.
set at Christmas, therefore it is a Christmas film." They're like, "Just because it's set at Christmas doesn't mean it is a Christmas film." It's
I don't like that.
it is. Yeah, if it's set at Christmas, it's a Christmas film.
So here's my. I've said this before.
not like fucking Frozen. That's set in summer.
That's true.
I mean, this list also has like Trading Places,
Ugh.
Batman Returns.
That is set at Christmas.
So they're going for some random ones.
Batman Returns is at Christmas, isn't it?
But yeah,
Yeah.
That's with what's his name, the actor.
Danny DeVito.
No,
Danny
yeah,
DeVito
with the
and,
penguin.
Christopher
Oh,
Walken,
yes.
Michelle Pfeiffer,
Yeah.
Yeah, and who has played Batman? It was
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton. Man, some people hate on Michael Keaton as Batman, but I liked him.
I
Michael
liked his
Keaton.
Bruce Wayne. I didn't so much like his Batman, but I don't like
Fairy
those
stuff.
films because they are dreadful in every single way.
Oh, they're brilliant
No.
films.
Well, no, not every single way. The look of Gotham was good, but it's Tim Burton, so
Sam,
pretty much almost everything Tim Burton has ever
do you want to
done.
get nuts? Let's get nuts.
I
That was the first one. That wasn't Returns.
Yeah.
didn't get that reference, but
That was Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne saying, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts." To Jack Nicholson's Joker.
interesting.
I do that because Jack Nicholson didn't play the Joker. Jack Nicholson played Jack Nicholson in a Joker costume.
As we covered last time.
Yeah, but it was amazing.
Cool. So Empire.
I know I just pissed off a load of Tim Burton fans there as well. I was
Yeah.
like, I've made amends with Sam Worthington,
He'll
but
come
now
back round.
fuck you, Tim Burton.
Oh man, why do you have to say that? Why do you have to say
Oh,
fuck
no,
you?
I had this argument with so
He's a
many people at
decent
uni
director.
because I did film and television. No, he's not. He's terrible. He's terrible. He's done 2-3 good films tops. Everything else he's done has been fucking shite.
I'm kind of on board with you there. Actually, I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
I like Sleepy Hollow.
That's good.
I like Beetlejuice.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's it. You run out really quickly, don't you?
Batman Returns.
No, Batman and
They
Batman
are good
Returns are
films.
dreadful films. He doesn't do a Batman film. He didn't pay any attention to his source material at all.
Ooh.
Batman flat out kills people, and that's not what Batman does.
When does he kill people in those films?
Well, he does in Batman v Superman.
Yeah, no, and that's one of the
So-
big issues I took with Batman. Well, I took many issues with Batman v Superman, but one of the biggest was that he just flat out kills people in it, and it's just no.
Well, Justice League was a better portrayal of Batman,
Yeah,
but we
Superman.
we might never see Batfleck.
Yeah, kind of wants to quit, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, he's got way too much pressure on him.
Yeah.
Although
Yeah.
they probably can reward him quite a lot with money, like they did with Daniel Craig, because Daniel Craig was like, I never want to play James Bond again, and then they went, really? Here's a giant stack of cash.
Really, Daniel?
Now shut up, you wee puff, and calm the fuck down, and just fucking play James Bond, right?
Yeah,
So-
one more film and then you're done, mate.
Jake Gyllenhaal's the frontrunner to replace him.
Fuck off. I don't want Jake Gyllenhaal playing Batman.
No,
Yeah.
what do you
Who-
mean?
anyone-
Jake Gyllenhaal to play Batman?
Yeah.
No.
Nah, that wouldn't
No,
work.
that wouldn't
I
work.
like Jake
No.
Gyllenhaal. I think he's a very,
He's a
very
good actor, not
but
Batman.
He's not Batman.
He's not Batman. No,
I think Jensen Ackles
never heard of him.
from Supernatural. He plays
Supernatural.
Dean in Supernatural.
No, you just got a fucking soft spot
Right.
for Supernatural, man.
I do, but
Jensen Ackles
Jensen
should play
Ackles-
everyone according to
Jensen Ackles is a fantastic actor. If you actually watch Supernatural and you see his acting range in it, he is phenomenally good. And if anyone disagrees with me, then you are wrong. I will fight tooth and nail.
I'm just going to
not
go.
seen
I don't think I don't think he fits the profile.
You don't know who he is.
It's fine. I don't care.
So that is immediately we
I
can
don't know.
discard
And
your
now
argument
you can
there.
debate like gentlemen.
Simon.
I don't think. I just. I think Ben Affleck's a good shout. Who do I
Ben
think else
Affleck's a
could
great
be?
shout, but obviously
Who
if,
else
if Ben
could do it?
Affleck did leave, then my first choice would be Jensen Ackles. I mean, I don't think he'll be considered. Jensen Ackles was actually originally considered for the role of Star-Lord before Chris Pratt got it.
I can see that.
Really?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. I can give him that. I don't think I could give him back because now I'm remembering Supernatural. Which one was he? Was he the dark-haired one or the kind of browny-haired one? Because one with long hair, wasn't there?
He was the dark-haired one, not the one with long hair.
Oh, okay, I know which one it is.
Yeah.
Because he's got kind of a comedic side to him.
He does have a bit of a comedic side to him, but
Yeah.
also he
So I see Star-Lord.
can do.
I don't think he'd do. I don't think he'd
Oh,
do
he
a good
can.
Bruce Wayne, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I don't think he would.
Yeah, he can.
I don't think so. Anyway, is that it then, Josh?
Yep.
Cool. All right,
So-
let's wrap this baby up. So
So Cage Steele was awesome.
Cage
Tim
Steele.
Burton's terrible. Jensen Ackles should be Batman. Good night.
boom, there we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Gentleman's Debate.
This has been the Gentleman's Bedate.
The Gentleman's Debate number 21. We covered Cage Steele 19. Please follow Cage Steele. It's at CSFCMMA on Twitter and I think their Instagram as well. And also you can probably find their Facebook page, which is just Cage Steele. If you'd like to also follow us on Facebook, it is the Gentleman's Debate Podcast. On Twitter, it is TGD_podcast. And on Instagram, it's the Gentleman's Debate. We are also would like to say, please follow our lovely friend Joshua, who does all of our video production work. At York Video Pro on Instagram and Twitter. It's York Video Production on Facebook, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So follow him on there if you need any work done, videography, photography work-wise. I think that's it, basically. Peace out, motherfuckers. See you later. Bye,
Bye, guys.
Bye.
She's like, guys, what are you doing, guys?
Yeah, and then